Good morning, peace builders. My name is Daria, and the other version is Dasha, so both correct. I'm from Ukraine, and I just want to spend 10 minutes with me and share my experience working in Ukraine. Let me give you, sorry for the light, but let me give some information about the conflicts that we have in our country. In 2014, the armed conflict starts in Ukraine, but the ground was that in Kiev, you see this light, I think, yeah? In Kiev, it was Maidan revolution before, and after occupation of Crimea. So it was a ground to get the violence conflict in the other area that's called Donbass. Donbass includes two regions. I think on the left you will see this, the area that's now in orange. So it's both region called Donetsk and Lugansk regions, but the main name is Donbass. So now in this area we have a line of contact. So it's demarcation line that unfortunately divide people, and we have 5 checkpoints there. Which actually like stop movement. Sometimes when you, let me back, if you want to go from the city of uncontrolled area to controlled, before it was like 3 hours, now it's like 8 or 22 hours to go. So sometimes you need to spend nights sleeping in there after, near the shelling where it's still going, to go to the control area. Just brief data. In Ukraine, more than like 45 million live, and now in affected area, it's the OCHA data. Yeah, they report that more than 4 million are affected and need humanitarian support. So we have the majority, it's women and children affected. I think the most, conflict sensitivity in this area is that social benefits and pensions for elderly people were cancelled in 2014, and it means that people now were struggling and trying to survive, to go to control area and get their pensions like received. So I just want you to show the impact of the conflict. In the middle you will see the one of checkpoints. I just been there months ago. So it's in Lugansk. In Lugansk area we have only one checkpoint, and it's pedestrian, so you couldn't go by car, and all elderly and disabled person have to go by that. Humanitarian agencies, they came to our region, of course, and trying to negotiate and provide the support, but both sides of the conflict, they're not too much interested now because it's wartime and conflict still going now. We have signed a peace agreement in 2015. It was in Minsk, Belarus, but you see that it doesn't work. It just my final yet data that Neil Walker, who is a UNDP representative in Ukraine, he counts that Ukraine now is 9th world for refugees and IDPs, internally displaced people, and we have 1.5 million people who now registered in Ukraine and have to move from uncontrolled to control because it means that you still Ukrainian. So now I will present our project. It's called Donbass Dialogue. I'm coordinator of this project, and we called it crowdsourcing platform. It's what we want to do. So we now providing in the hot stage of the conflict some live dialogue during armed conflict. It's a systemic project because our founder, he was mediator, and he's still mediator in 19th. So he was willing, to promote some mediation in the 19th in Ukraine, and he built the branch of mediation organization. And now it's new wave of conflict. It's about dialogue. So why we called like that? Because we think dialogue, it wasn't in the beginning of our conflict. It was no dialogue. It was no negotiation, and that's why we have violence, and it's still going. So we upgrade some methodology, and maybe community who has experience working with the dialogue know the Nansen methodology, Nansen approach. And we use it like a background, but we update it with online. So what innovation is that we provide secure dialogue now in the divided communities. And we build some network of people who are interested. So it's really open platform. Everybody could participate. We have a closed Facebook group where now the dialogue moderates and facilitated. So everybody who are interested in peace resolution could join it, and just because some topics are already hot, you could join this discussion and you could be involved in the peace process. But still, the conflict is going, so international community is not now talking too much about peace now in Ukraine, because when the war is going, you couldn't talk about peace because you need to stop violence in the beginning. Is that what they think and what they have? Let me introduce the Steinerbreen. It's a person of dialogue facilitation. He is a person with a big heart of doing dialogue facilitation in post-Yugoslavia. It was a branch built there, so some spaces for dialogue where actually people could meet of both sides and talk about that. It's me who was talk with them before dialogue marathons, because usually we have dialogue marathons in every 6 months. We do preparation during 6 months to be ready for that and involve person from both sides of the conflict. So we use crowdsourcing in Facebook. Why? Because it's important to highlight and maybe to talk about the taboo topics that we do not discuss in society now. So it's a really safe space to talk about that. And online dialogue, what we think about that. It's some real space where some technology were developed. So we use peer-to-peer online technique. Some instruments was developed, and now even we could use it with mobile internet, because when the war you have, sometimes internet it doesn't work. So it's really cool when you could actually just buy some card and use this for making dialogue and to listen other side. So it's very safe, because online provides you secure, safe, and you could feel comfortable to enjoy, to join this session and to listen and be heard. So we involve some experts who immerse the topic before we start do dialogue. It's some information that I already said. So it's some feedback from our online dialoguers, because when you do this kind of work during the hot space, it's not visible, and it's really hard for us to now talk about the dialogue, because people not ready. And if you are not ready, if you don't know what is that, because for majority it seems like dialogue is debates. So it's need time to discuss and push a little bit, the discussion. What is this dialogue about? What is peace building? So we're trying to find support from international community, but just because it's a little not the face like what they said, we have, this support from Swiss embassy. So I came in 2015 in Kiev and trying to talk about peace, but people just don't believe me that I am from Donbass and I want peace, because everybody thinks that in Donbass want still, the conflicts going. So it was really crazy, and I sometimes don't understand why they don't understand me, but after I recognize that. So it's our few results. So in the team we have 3 persons. including me. We have already introduced our project in Geneva this year. It's our prospect. So really looking forward, to move the dialogue in Ukraine. So we don't think that there is other alternatives instead of dialogue. So everybody who now working with the dialogue tools, who working with the peace building and want to promote this approach, I'm really open to discuss it, because in Ukraine it's still really lack of agency, of organization who really do peace building. Because in Russian and Ukrainian language, peace building sometimes translating like peacekeeping. And it's really hard because people understand peace building like, it's a peace when the one side wins with guns. So it's really hard sometimes to push that peace building is opposite. So it's my team, Nikolai, Valery, and me. Please, if you want to join our sessions, or if you would like to know more about methodology, I would like to maybe continue in the coffee breaks. I try to my best because it's a huge, we have offline and online activities. So I would like to talk after. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Daria. I would like